It's Monday, it's 11 o'clock, so it means it's my Monday Make feature. So this week we're going to look at an artist called George Rodrigue. He was an American artist and he was born in 1944 and lived in Louisiana in America. And he shot to fame in the 1990s for his beautiful, colourful and striking blue dog paintings. The blue dog was inspired by a French Cajun legend called loup-garou, which means wolf, and a dog is like a wolf. So it was the blue dog that brought him to fame, and I've got a few examples of the blue dog paintings that George painted. So it was always the same sort of dog, bright blue with this white face, and he painted them in different situations, so different backgrounds. Sometimes they would be landscapes, sometimes they would be more sort of abstract and patterns. So this is a really good example of one of his works with the flowers and the clouds. And then this one here, a really lovely bright and cheerful yellow background. Exactly the same dog painted, but it's the background that's changed. And here is a picture of George painting his blue dog. So you can see the kind of scale of his paintings. They were pretty big. So I thought it would be really good to have a go at painting your own blue dog for this week's feature. Now we're looking at a blue dog. You could do a blue cat, you could do a blue rabbit, or whatever favourite animal, but just use the same sort of principle as what I'm going to show you today. So the materials you need are quite basic. You just need some white paper, and depending on how big you're going to do your painting will depend on how big your sheet of paper is. I'm using A3, so you might want to use the same, but you could do A4 or do smaller. It's completely up to you. You'll need some paint, and I recommend acrylic paint because they give a really nice, strong, bright finish. You'll need some paint brushes. If you haven't got paint, then you could use colouring pens, crayons, colouring pencils, whatever you've got. So just use what you have. You'll need a pair of scissors and a pencil. And if you've got a Sharpie, then that's quite good for finishing off as well, but any black pen will do. Right, let's get started. Now, I'm going to try and do this up the wrong way to me, but the right way for you. So I'm hoping this is going to work. And I'm going to show you the basic shape to draw your blue dog. So I've already sketched it out very lightly in pencil, but I'm going to go round it with a black pen just to make it clear for you. So what you need to do is draw on a head first. So quite a sort of simple circle shape. And then what you're going to do is give your dog a body connected to the head. You're going to put in a couple of legs at the front because all of George's dogs are kind of sitting and facing forward. So we're just going to put some legs in just to the back and his tail. And then looking at his paintings, they have quite, the dog has quite big ears and sort of floppy ears. So we can add in these ears, and if you want to, you could do one at a different angle to the other to give that sort of sense of a floppy ears. And then what you're going to do is just sort of put in that muzzle where his nose sits, where that's going to be white, and a couple of eyes. So you've got a basic sort of dog shape that you can now start to paint. And again, I'm going to try and do this upside down. So for the paint, you need blue, a nice royal blue if you've got it, bit of black and some white. So you're going to start off by painting in your dog with the blue paint, and you can use quite free and big brush strokes. Really enjoy the whole process of painting. It doesn't have to be small and neat. You can go over the lines of your drawing because you're actually going to cut out your dog shape. And what you're going to do is paint in your dog, and you can see on the painting here that one side is kind of darker than the other. So you can add in a bit of black to sort of darken down that one side. And then with another paintbrush, you can use a little bit of blue and white so that you can get a lighter side on the other side of your dog, so that you're kind of copying this idea that one side is light and the other side is dark. And what you want to do is paint the whole of that that shape in, paint some of the white in here for the muzzle, and carry on painting over the ears and the head. And then what you'll be left with is, here's what I made earlier, your sort of rough dog shape, where you've got the blue, you've got one side a bit paler and the other side darker. Then what you can do is, with a bit of a thinner brush, you can then take some of the black and start adding in some of these shadows and black all the way around your dog, copying one of George's pictures, if you can get it off the internet, or just follow this, if you can see the picture here on the screen. And you're putting in some of the black marks that George had on his dog, and adding in sort of more of the details of your dog with the black, and going under the neck, adding in some on the ears, a little bit around the head. And you can also start to add in his nose and down the side of his body and his tail. So you're starting to sort of define some of those shapes. And what you can also do with your Sharpie, he's got kind of quite a sad looking face really, so you can start adding in some of the details on his face. He's also got sort of black marks, sort of quite like this expression on his face around his eyes, so you can start marking in some of those details. You could do that with a thin paintbrush, or if you've got a Sharpie. So start adding in some of those finer details, so that you are then left with your blue dog with the nose and the mouth, and you can cut that shape out. Now, to get these piercing yellow eyes, rather than painting those, because the paint might not sort of go over that blue paint, what I did was just cut out a little bit of yellow from a Weetabix box. So any cereal box that you've got, something that's nice and bright and yellow, and it will give that really sort of strong piercing eyes that are looking straight at you. And you can add in the centre dots with a black Sharpie or a little bit of black paint. And then you've got your dog. So George put his dogs in all sorts of situations that sometimes they were just bright and colourful backgrounds. Sometimes he painted landscapes. The oak tree was always one that was really popular. There's also been a lovely painting where he's had the dog sat on a motorbike and the scarf is sort of blowing in the wind. So have a look on Google if you can, and have a look at some of the other paintings that he's done. But one of the famous ones that he's painted is a beach scene. So you could paint your own beach scene and then maybe put your dog in position, and you can then stick your dog down. But what you could do is maybe do a few different backgrounds, have some fun with choosing your favourite one. So this is a beach scene that I've painted, inspired by one of his paintings. But then also this one is just a bright, colourful, abstract background, and the blue dog really pops against that background. That's because the background is painted in bright, hot colours, so the reds, the pinks, the oranges, and then the blue dog is a cold colour because blue is cold, but it really, really works really well. So you can have a little play around with what you'd like to put your blue dog in, whether it's an abstract background or whether it's actually a scene. And then once you've decided which is your favourite, then you can stick your dog down and finish your picture. So that's pretty much it for today. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about George Rodrigue's blue dog and his wonderful paintings. And as usual, if you have a go, please share them with me. Send them via email or tag me in on Facebook, and I really love seeing them. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and all that's left for me to say is I hope you're safe and well, and just keep staying home, being safe and being creative, and I'll catch up with you again soon. So bye for now.